Hello. Welcome to the tutorial series for the Steam Party menu. In this series, we'll explore how to utilize the template to meet your needs. I have already migrated the Steam Party menu files to one of my projects. If you're unsure how to migrate the files, there is a documentation page available for that. I also added some characters that are available for grabs on the FAB Marketplace. I also created a scene for the party menu level. It may not be the best, as I'm not an environment designer. I simply use whatever free assets I had from FAB to put this scene together. Since we're running it in Play and Editor, PIE mode, no Steamworks SDK features will be available. However, since this video focuses on character selection, there's no need to play in standalone mode. We can use the Play and Editor mode for that. After working on this for a while, the lobby music has started to annoy me. So let's turn it down. If you want to change the lobby music to a song of your choice or remove it altogether, search for the sound asset in the level. Here, you can change it to a song of your liking. Also, make sure to enable looping if you want the song to play indefinitely without ending. Now, let's move on to adding more characters for selection. I designed it so you don't need to fully understand how the blueprints work behind the scenes. You can simply use data assets to add your characters. The menu avatar in the party menu level is represented by this character class, BPGC Party Avatar. It's a simple character class with one skeletal mesh component to set the full character mesh. All changes are handled by the character customization component. We'll dive into that at a later time. For what we want to do now, we don't need to go into too much detail. The template utilizes data assets. The main data asset, DAPM settings, is the Party Manager data asset that contains all game data, including the character data used in the game. This is used by the Party Manager component, which is attached to the player controller for this level. You can set your own character class as the party avatar, but you'll need to add the character customization component to your character as well. For now, we'll stick with the default class. The logic is as follows. The SBM Party game mode is used for the party level, which utilizes the SBM Party controller. This controller has the Party Manager component that contains all the data and spawns the player avatars, each equipped with the customization component. Now, let me explain how to add your own character skin to the template. Here, we have example character data assets that are used as references. Let's move on to those files. Data assets are blueprint classes that store data, allowing them to be used as modular add-ons to the game. In this case, they're used to populate the locker room with character selections and allow for changing the character mesh to the selected one. It's also important to note that in the main settings data assets, we have default player data values that are set when the client first enters the game. By default, the character type is set to Manny and the skin variation is set to default. Let's change it to red. No changes will apply to our current player, as they have already completed their first login. However, we can delete the saved game data, which would allow us to log in as a fresh new player. The saved game file can be found in your project's core folder, specifically under the saved folder within the Save Games directory. Since no save file was present, we started with the red skin for our character. Additionally, the lobby music is blasted, as those settings are also stored in the save game file. Now, for real, we are adding a new character to the template. I believe I've mentioned this a couple of times, and we're finally getting to it. We can accomplish this by either duplicating the existing character's data asset or creating it from scratch. Duplicating it is as simple as right-clicking and selecting Duplicate. Let me show you how to create this asset from scratch. Right-click on an empty space in the context menu, go to Miscellaneous, and select Add Data Asset. In the search bar, type Character to find the Character Data Asset class. Select it, and that will create an instance of the data asset class for you to fill in with your custom data. As I mentioned at the beginning, I added some character meshes from the FAB Marketplace to demonstrate the process of adding new characters. Since these don't have specific names, we'll use the generic naming conventions from the pack. Here it is, a fresh data asset to construct our character for the avatar. The character name field is a text variable used for the UI element where the character's name is displayed, such as in the locker room selection. Since it's a text variable, you can create localizations for the character name. Next, we have the character's default portrait, which is used for the locker room. This means I need to create character portraits for those meshes. I'll take the lazy route since this is just an example and quickly create them. After the tedious task of creating a bunch of portraits, we're back to adding them to the character. Now, regarding character variations, it's a map array with strings as keys to match the meshes with their corresponding portraits. I will use meshes that utilize the Unreal Engine 5 mannequin skeleton. It's best to use the same skeleton for all characters, and you'll see why later. For the default skin variation, I will use default as the name for the key. For the second variation, I will use cap as the key value. Next in line is the animation blueprint for your character, in case you use a different animation blueprint for each one. That can be useful for then used for game character. Next is the skin type key. This key is used to save and retrieve the selected skin from the save file and cloud data. It must be unique for each character. It can be different from set character name, as one used for UI and other is technical variable key. Lastly, we have the skin variation portraits map, where we can add matching portraits to our character mesh. The keys used should match the keys assigned to the same mesh. Now that we have filled in the new character data, we can add it to the game data. This is done by adding the character data to the array of all characters in the PM setting data asset. Now we can hit play, and we should be able to select it from the available characters. And then this strange thing happened. During a prior test run with this project, I added the same character, and nothing like this occurred. In theory, that shouldn't be happening, as those models use the default Manny skeletal mesh. However, glitches do occur with Unreal Engine. I then stopped recording to try to find the issue, and it turned out to be a quick fix. I rushed to stop the recording. I deleted the adventure pack that used the Manny skeleton and replaced the references with my templated Manny skeleton, which resolved the weird mesh stretching. Normally, you should either have only one main skeleton for humanoids, or at least retarget it to the main one. However, since they were identical, deleting it and replacing the reference worked just fine. So I got back to filling in the next characters, but I kind of messed up on the second one. Since it's the same pack of characters, I duplicated the first one and started changing the data to match the second character's details. However, I messed up the selected portrait and key for one of portraits. Make sure you're filling data correctly. I also forgot to add the new character data to the game data asset. I still had lingering flu symptoms, so I'll write this off as a consequence of that. And here we see the mess that can occur if you fill in the data incorrectly. I fixed the issue and proceeded to add the rest, and that went smoothly. As you can see, adding new characters is a breeze when they all share the same skeleton type. And now we have it. All 5 characters from the pack are added as selectable characters in the game. Lastly, since I deleted Manny and Quinn's character data, and if you did the same, we need to adjust our default player data to accommodate that. I showed this at the beginning, but let's go over it one more time. Open PM Settings Data Asset. Scroll down to the Player Data section and set the new default character skin type and variation. Make sure to use the type key, not the character name, as its value. That's it. Now, new clients joining the game will have that character selected by default. One more time, I will delete my save game to see it in action. It took longer to load since I had restarted the editor. The template uses soft references and loads character assets to memory only when they are used. This is similar to what Epic does in Fortnite. They might even be downloading assets as needed, given the number of character meshes they have. They also have an effect when a mesh is loading. I had planned to add something like that, but I didn't want to delay the project since effects are my forte. Finally, the character customization component handles game character skins. It's not just for the menu. It also sets the skins for characters in the game level. We can go into more detail in later videos.